Is it possible that you're not waiting on clarity, but you're waiting on comfort? And comfort is not coming. You keep telling yourself, when I feel more confident, when I feel more prepared, when I feel more certain, when I've worked through a few more things, when I have more proof, then I'll move. Then I'll launch, then I'll speak, then I'll lead, then I'll step forward. But confidence does not come before action. Confidence is the residue of action. And you don't think your way into confidence, you move your way into it. This is part 4 in our procrastination series. I'm glad you're here because today I'm going to remind you that the person you say you want to become doesn't wait to feel ready. They act. Let's dismantle this carefully. Readiness is one of the most seductive myths that fear ever created because it sounds intelligent. It sounds mature and responsible. I just want to make sure everything's right. I don't want to rush it. I want to be strategic. I just want to be thoughtful. But let me ask you this. Are you refining or are you rehearsing hesitation? The truth is, nobody feels ready. They don't feel ready to start the business. They don't feel ready to publish the work, lead the room, raise their standards, set the boundary, change their lives. Nobody feels ready. And yet, they decide. And then eventually they grow into that decision. Readiness isn't a requirement, it's actually the reward. No one feels ready, they feel committed. And it is the commitment that forces growth in an area. Let's talk about something that most people avoid, and that is the cost. Because every time you delay action in the name of comfort, something erodes. Maybe it's your self-trust, your decisiveness, your edge, but something erodes. In fact, your tolerance for discomfort begins to shrink. And over time, hesitation just becomes a part of your personality. You start to believe you're just curious. You like to think things through. You're the type of person that has to move slowly. But underneath the language is the fear of exposure. And the longer you wait, the more later becomes your identity. Comfort does not build capacity. It builds excuses. It doesn't increase clarity, it increases doubt because doubt grows in delay. And the most dangerous thing about comfort is it feels safe while simultaneously chipping away at your years. You don't wake up one day ruined. You wake up one day realizing you've become highly skilled at hesitation. And that is not who you were meant to be. Identity is the real issue. I've said it before and I'm gonna keep saying it. This is not a motivation problem. This is not a discipline problem. It's an identity problem. It's the way that we see ourselves, the stories about ourselves that we believe. And no matter the aspiration, you're always gonna fall to the level of your identity. Reason being, your brain will always protect it because your brain actually values consistency over growth. It would rather you stay small and predictable than risk becoming unfamiliar. So when opportunity appears, your system whispers, this isn't who you are. This might go wrong, you should wait. Not because you're incapable, but because you're consistent. I like to think of your identity as the thermostat. It is the very thing that always regulates your behavior back to normal. So if bold action feels abnormal, guess what? You will subconsciously sabotage it. But here's the pivot. At some point, we have to stop asking, what do I feel like doing? And start asking, what would the person I'm becoming do right now? I love that question because it bypasses emotion. Because the future version of you, they don't negotiate with fear for weeks on end. They don't require perfect internal weather, they move. Even if the voice is shaking, you're moving. Hands sweating. You're moving. You're unsure, but you're moving. Feels premature, but you're moving. You could fail publicly, but you're moving. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement despite it. And movement is identity in motion. Every action is a vote for who you're becoming. So when you delay, you vote for the old you. When you act, you vote for the new you. And identity shifts through accumulated votes. Your brain will protest. When you act before you're ready, your brain will panic. Alarms will go off that say unsafe, unfamiliar, risky. It's not who you are. The reason being is your brain is wired for survival and not expansion. It actually prefers familiar discomfort over unfamiliar growth. Growth feels unstable. Exposure feels threatening. Expansion feels risky. But discomfort is not danger, it's a transition. It's not a warning signal. Discomfort is a growth signal. And your brain confuses unfamiliar with unsafe. They're not the same thing. You're not in danger, you're actually evolving. In evolution, feels unstable before it feels powerful. Acting before you're ready does not require massive leaps. It requires decisive steps. Sending the email you drafted 3 times. Posting the content instead of over-editing and over-editing and over-editing it. Making the call, setting the boundary, registering the business, booking the meeting, submitting the proposal. Small actions, immediate evidence. Because identity does not change through declarations. It changes through demonstration. You don't become confident and then act. You act and then collect confidence. You don't feel disciplined and then move. You move when you don't want to, and discipline forms. You don't wait to feel like a leader. You make decisions and leadership emerges. Every action sends your brain a new instruction. This is who we are now. And the brain adapts. Neural pathways shift. Tolerance expands. Self-trust builds. Capacity grows, and not because you talked about it, but because you did it. Let's make this clear. Your feelings are like the weather. They change hourly, they shift daily. Your feelings start the day with the intention of sun. They pack their swim bag. And then halfway through, clouds start showing up. Feelings fluctuate based on your sleep, your stress, your environment, and your memory. Identity is climate. It shapes decades. And so the challenge that we have is to stop making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Stop asking your feelings for permission when you already know what time it is with your feelings. Feelings are input. They are not authority. You don't need emotional agreement. You need directional commitment. There's a moment on every runway just before a plane takes off when the engines are at full power, but the aircraft is still on the ground. It's loud, it's shaking, it's accelerating, but it hasn't lifted yet. And here's what most people don't realize. At a certain speed, the pilot reaches something called V1. V1 is the decision speed. Before V1, you can abort takeoff. After V1, you're going into the air, even if something feels uncertain, because the runway is no longer long enough to stop safely. Now imagine this. The plane is racing down the runway. The engines are screaming. The ground is vibrating, and the co-pilot says, "Captain, we don't feel airborne yet. Maybe we should wait until it feels more like flying." Man, gone. We're at V1. That would be insane because planes don't feel like they're flying. They commit to the speed, they pull back, and lift happens because of movement, not before it. Lift is a response to forward motion. It's not a prerequisite for it. You keep waiting to feel airborne. You keep waiting for emotional lift. You keep waiting for certainty to kick in before you pull back on the controls. But lift doesn't come while you're parked at the gate. It doesn't come while you're taxiing in circles. It doesn't come while you're running simulations in your head. It comes when you throttle forward past the point where stopping is comfortable. And yes, that moment is loud. It's unstable. It's uncertain. It shakes. The wheels are still touching the ground. Doubt is still present. Fear might even still be in the cockpit, but commitment has already been made. And here's the truth. If you slam your brakes every time it gets loud, you will spend your whole life on the runway. Engine strong, yes. Potential massive, yes. Destination programmed, yes. But never airborne. And I made this video to tell you that readiness isn't a feeling, it's a threshold. And most people never cross it because it doesn't feel peaceful. It feels aggressive and irreversible. It feels exposed. But once the plane passes V1, the only safe option is forward. You don't need more runway. You don't need quieter engines. You don't need a smoother ground. You need to decide that stopping is no longer an option. You're at V1 because lift is waiting on speed, and speed requires commitment. So are you going to keep taxiing, or are you going to throttle forward, pull back, and trust that lift follows motion? The old version of you keeps circling the runway. The new version of you reaches decision speed and goes forward. That's the end of our procrastination series. Part 1, expose the avoidance. Part 2, trace the origin. Part 3, rewrote the story. But Part 4 demands action. If you enjoyed that video, go ahead and throw something in the comments and let me know. And always remember that growth is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm in it with you. And I'll see you on the next one.